Welcome everyone to my first video. Quick disclaimer here is these mobs and how this farm goes will change from now until TBC Classic, from what they drop to how hard they hit to the abilities they use, but this is just a generic overview of how this run should go. And then first thing we're going to be talking about is my gear. All right, so with this gear, the big thing to just realize here is I'm in full T4. Now I have done this run with all blues. You can watch some of my earlier VODs. I mean, I'm wearing literally leather boots, just a 121 spell power weapon. But most of the things on the screen here is something you'd be able to achieve pretty quick. The Season 1 mace is something that probably I don't think is something you would get right away, but it's something you could earn pretty quickly. Alright, the first thing we're going to talk about is the trinket. The trinket is what makes all this AoE farming possible. Only till really, really late end game could you probably get away with not using it, unless you're going to use some strategy that you just keep running and dropping consecrate. But for the most part, this trinket is what's going to make you invincible while you farm. It is on a 2-minute cooldown. You pop this trinket, and every time you block, you're going to be healed for 120. The logic here is you are going to be healing for way more damage than you are going to be taking. Second thing is the Librum, which increases your number 1 damage dealer, which is Consecration. This is just raw damage. This is what you want. The number 3 thing here is a Reflect Shield. Now, whether you have the Sporgar Shield, Skull Flame Shield, even a normal tank shield's fine with a shield spike, but I highly suggest to either get Skull Flame Shield or the Sporgar Shield, and I lean towards the Sporgar Shield, but it's all preference. Uh, anything you want for reflect damage will work just fine. All right, let me just quick touch base. The trinket is what Figurine of the Colossus drops in Shattered Halls, normal or heroic. The Librum drops in normal or heroic Sethic Halls. Of course, run these on normal to get them. It's much easier, but do what you want to do. The Sporgar Shield is from Sporgar Rep Honored. Takes about half an hour to an hour worth of farming. You maybe have to run Underbog. Do all the quests for Underbog, you'll get the Sporgar Shield. Skullflame Shield is a world BOE that you could probably buy in the auction house. But that's kind of where to get all this. And the maces from Season 1 Arena. Alright, so next we're going to be going over talents, and I'm going to go over 2 different types of specs you can run. Either strictly farming, a mix, a hybrid of you running dungeons and then farming in between. I'm going to show you the safe spec for farming. This doesn't have improved Holy Shield, okay, which is to the left of Holy Shield down the Prot tree, but kind of let me go through it. On the top tier talent, you have Redoubt. It's mandatory. The next one's Guardian's Favor, which helps with your freedom. It adds 4 seconds to your Blessing of Freedom, which can make or break you in Stratholme because the mobs put slowing diseases, they put hamstrings and things like that. Again, I don't know how they're going to act on TBC Classic compared to the server I'm playing on, but for the most part, Guardian's Favor is really good. Toughness is still tier 2 on the right. You need that. Generically, all of tier 3 you kind of fill out there, from Kings to Imp Righteous Fury to Shield Specialization into the defense talent called Anticipation. Tier 4 you can skip over. Now we're into Tier 5. I put 1 point into Sanctuary because it's probably the biggest damage reduction ability you're going to have here. And I put 3 points into Reckoning. You could do 1 point into Reckoning and totally be fine. Again, this is more of a hybrid spec for maybe running some normals where you don't need that improved Holy Shield. But again, mix and match the points however you feel comfortable. Tier 6 on this, we have Sacred Duty, which is 6% stamina and reduces the cooldown of your Divine Shield. So grab that. One hand weapon specialization gives you 5% damage, so of course grab that. Here's why this spec is a little more safe is you're going to grab Ardent Defender in this spec, meaning when you're at 35% and lower, you take 30% reduced damage. So when you're kind of undergeared, Ardent Defender is going to be just insanely awesome to help keep you alive, because a lot of these pulls are going to keep you at, maybe that sub 35% health. And of course, if you're taking reduced damage during that time, great. Your Seal of Light can almost keep you alive by itself, even without the trinket. And then the last thing I grab is Combat Expertise, which just gives you pretty much 10% stamina, and the 5 expertise is it is what it is type thing. Head on over into the Ret tree. There's no reason for to get Improved Blessing of Might, so grab Benediction. 2 points into Improved Judgment, and 5 points into Deflection. Here's the next best thing about this spec, and all of my Paladin specs. You run Pursuit of Justice. You want the movement speed. It's so crucial on everything you do, from raids to dungeons to farming. You want this talent, and you need it maxed. Alright, so here is, this next build is for more geared characters when your block value starts to get around 300-ish. Or where you get more comfortable with pulling, where you think you can, all right, let's crank up the damage. I'm fine with surviving. This build is around Sank Aura, which gives you 10% holy damage. You can even get crazier and go into Vengeance and even really crank out the damage. But do what you want to do and play around with it until you're happy with what you get. All in all, roughly the same, but we're losing Ardent Defender in this build, but we're gaining Sank Aura. We're losing a point into Reckoning, but the rest is pretty much still the same. I use this spec for raiding. The only difference here is I would do maybe 1 point into Improved Judgment, and then 3 points into the Imp Crusader, Seal of the Crusader in the Ret tree. But for the most part, I have a Ret Paladin usually in raids, so you could do 2 out of 3 here. You could do Vindication, you could do Conviction, whatever you want to put those 2 points into. That way you can get Sank Aura. Improved Ret Aura, of course, don't put points into that, because you're going to have Sank Aura, and you're not going to use Ret Aura. You could do Seal of Command, but again, probably not the strongest choice. And Eye for an Eye, you're probably not going to get crit at all, so again, choose those points with however you want. They really don't matter in a grand scheme of things. I do Imp Crusader because if I'm also running dungeons, occasionally by myself I will judge Crusader. So do whatever you want. That's just kind of generically explaining the more DPS heavy build talent tree. Alright, so let's hop into it. If you don't have the key and this is your first run, you're going to have to run in the front door. As you can see, I'm rolling up to the gates. Alright, so right in the door, I put Sanctuary on. I'm strafing the whole time. You never want to ass tank. Immediately, hamstrings applied, so I freed him here. The reason I'm consecrating, it's not to do damage, and you could rank 1 consecrate, but I'm trying to tag the non-aggressive mobs. They have the yellow tags on my UI. So usually when I'm consecrating, it's not going to kill any of these mobs. It's just strictly to pull things. So while Freedom is on cooldown, you need to just kind of face tank them. Again, you can see me, I go and pull more civilians there. The A-bomb here is what I like to call the leech. It's the mob I'm going to be attacking because it has the highest health pool. Here's me ass tanking. Well, would have been, but I pop bubble. I use Holy Rat to pull. I don't panic and start healing at this point. You want to get your pull done. So at this point, I leech on to the A-bomb. I put my Seal of Wisdom on him, and I rejudge Wiz, or I judge Wisdom, and I start using Seal Wisdom, and you can see how fast my mana goes up. You have a few things. You've got Reckoning, you've got Parry Haste. Both of those to mind. If you look, and you very specifically look at white numbers, look how many white numbers there are with Parry Haste. Get low, pop your trinket, and in this build, I am the Sank Aura build, so just For the most part, the A-bomb's going to knock you around, not the end of the world. Don't panic. Again, I don't have Trinket, I don't have Bubble. My health's starting to get low. But the mobs are going to start dying off here. And you can see I switch to the next highest health target, and I start leeching on them again. Leeching is the only word I can think. I focus the high health target, and occasionally I'll be tabbing. You can pick up Stratholme Holy Waters and use them as well. But for the most part, these pulls are going to be specifically to each little section of Strath Undead. And looks like I'm finishing up here. And for the most part, Consecrate's not even hitting that hard, but there's that first pull. Alright, so here is after the gate. On TBC Classic, that gate might shut and you have to fight some bugs. So this pull is continuing right after that moment. Ideally, I'm coming in from the side door and I'll stop at that gate if it does the whole thing where the bugs attack you and the gate drops. You could kill all the mobs in there too if they go in there smoothly. I guess we'll see kind of how it looks. I don't currently play Vanilla Classic, so I couldn't really tell you. Again, here, the big thing here is I'm trying to grab all these mobs that are yellow. They're just extra mobs. You might have the rare spawn who drops the Piccolo. Here, there's 4 civilians right here, so I drop the Consecrate to get them. They're citizens, I guess, civilians, whatever. Call them whatever you want. Again, so here I've got Sank up. I grab the A-bomb, and I leech onto him, and this is where the second pull of this instance would go. I throw the Holy Water. It may or may not scale with spell power. On this server, it does. Sank or increases its damage too. But all in all, this is a pretty easy pull. But again, this is the second pull, meaning we'll have one more pull after this, and then Dead Side will be done. So pretty sizable pulls, but when you get really geared, you'll be able to do the whole run, assuming you can get through the gate easily. You'll be able to do the whole run in one pull, which is pretty crazy. But all in all, it's not too bad. But for the most part, don't ever turn your back to mobs. You will lose health so fast, and you always got to make sure Blessing of Sanctuary is up, because if you don't have that up, you'll notice you'll lose health twice as fast, if not more. It reduces their melee damage, so it reduces their melee damage while you're getting healed. So for the most part, it's very easy. Alright, welcome to the hardest pull of the dungeon when you're going backwards like this, because you have 2 bosses, maybe a rare spawn. It's a pretty far run here. I don't need to be losing as much health as I do normally here, but I'm pretty comfortable with what I'm doing here. Again, strafing, always got to strafe. I hit freedom, I click freedom, as you guys can see, because I click spells. Again, I'm kiting. Pursuit of Justice is what gives you that distance between the mobs constantly hitting you and you not taking as much damage. Here I'm kind of waiting on Blessing of Freedom. Just kind of see, I'm still, the whole time I'm backing up, I'm trying to make sure I'm pulling the mobs I need to. Here's where I use Arcane Torrent to pull those. So if you're wondering why I just randomly used it, I did. I thought I grabbed these earlier, so this is where I kind of get hurt. Bubbling this early on this pull wasn't the best, but honestly, I'm going to do what I got to do here to just make sure the pull. Getting the pull stacked is more important than you staying healing up. Because if I would have stopped and healed, I still would have been back in the tunnel, and then I got to pull all this. So I have to pop Trinket even though I don't have all the mobs pulled. I always have land hands. Land hands will always fix one error. Like you can make 1 error per hour, and land hands will reset the fight for you. Seal of Wisdom, I'm still backing up. Now I have now pulled the final pack on this side, and I have the boss. This is the boss that drops your key. So again, I'm going to try to DPS him down. And he hurts. He gets frenzy stacks. He grows in size. And for the most part, I want to solo him down before he does too much damage to me. Losing health at a very high rate here. So this is where I go to Seal of Light and Judgment of Light. That being said, that's going to heal me up and keep me alive. I don't have a way of gaining mana back right now, so I have to alternate using Seal of Light and Seal of Wisdom. Very close pull here. It's been pretty sloppy uh, for the most part. Don't panic, you know. You could always land hands if you really feel uncomfortable, but I know this guy, once he dies, my damage I take is off. I throw another Holy Water because you're looting him the whole time. And then at this point, there's nothing else to really kill me. And this would pretty much end the dead side of, or all the zombies or undead mobs that you're going to be killing. And that would be that. And we'll do one pull in live side after this, and or two pulls. All right. So this is the few pulls of live mobs that I pull. And after listening to my last clip, you can hear my dog whining in the background. So I apologize if that's annoying. He wanted to go potty. So here, you're not going to take a lot of healing on your trinket on these mobs. So I break this down into really only two pulls. The reason I would pull this is if Righteous Orbs ever spiked back up to 15 to 30 gold each, maybe, of course, that's if, then you'd want to start pulling these mobs. So here I hug this wall to get all these casters to come. You can see them on top of the crates there. They stack up. The leech on this one are these initiates. They put a renew on themselves. They flash heal themselves. So they don't have the most health, but they do heal themselves. And occasionally, if you target one, they might get one or two renews, and then their health almost stays topped off the whole time. And again, you don't want to be switching seals. So when I leech onto one mob, it's ideally the one you want to live the longest, whether it's a boss, a mob that heals, that can just has a larger health pool. Again, you can see Trinket didn't really heal me up too much, but these mobs die pretty easily. Going up into here, you need the Scarlet Key out of Scarlet Monastery. Holy shit, Scarlet Key, Scarlet Monastery. Again, I will do one pull into this place. You'll see I'll open the door, kind of run through here, probably pop a drink. Yep, there it goes. You don't need full mana. It's just you definitely don't want to run out of mana while you're pulling, because remember, you'll have infinite mana once you settle up and start killing the mobs. I'm trying to think of other tips. You don't really ever have to freedom on these mobs, I don't recall. Maybe if a frostbolt lands, but for the most part you could cleanse that rather than freedoming. Run through as far as you can without pulling mobs, because you're going to pull back to that door, so there's no reason to start tanking them early on. You could if you want your reflect shield to start doing damage. So again, there I got slowed. I choose to cleanse versus freedom, but you can do either or. I just try never to drop sanctuary because it's big damage reduction. Sanctuary works after the fact that armor. So if it says up to 80 damage, you have 50% damage reduction from armor. Stops 40 damage, if you're curious how Sanctuary works. Here the mob gets behind me, the one I was targeting, and I need to make sure I turn and I'm hitting it. I don't know how the TBC Classic hundreds of mobs will act, but you always want the mob you're targeting in front of you, so you're hitting it. You need to be hitting it all the time. You don't need to not be hitting it, otherwise you'll go and mobs attacking from behind you will not be blocked, dodged, or parried. So again, pretty easy pull. Trinkets up. I don't really ever heal a lot, and I lose health pretty quick, but here you can use bubble to heal up, to do damage. The key thing is when you bubble, you always want consecrate ticking. Don't ever have a period where consecrate's not on the ground. It's a clock between your health and the mob's health. If consecrate's down, they'll die before you. Other than that, that'd be pretty much it. And this would sum up the entirety of the Stratholme farm that I choose to do on TBC. And I do it quite often. Alright, to wrap this up, let's just never ass tank. So use your strafe key. Always keep Blessing of Sank up, so when Freedom's not up, you better have that up. Don't ever panic. Remember, you can just take off running. You'll stop all the damage. Run around till your trinket's off cooldown, and then use it and do your last stand. Arcane torrents, exorcisms, holy waters, grenades, whatever you want to pull the mobs, do what you have to. And remember, you guys can always consume. You can use swiftness potions, flask of supreme power, blinding light, maybe some of the Zanzas, whatever it may be. You can oil on your weapon. You can do all those to increase your damage and speed and all that things. They're always awesome. They'll eat into your profit if you're trying to gold farm. Again, this video is not about how much gold you can make. It's just how to actually do the Stratholme farm. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. I always read comments, so if you guys want to pop me some comments. I'm sorry these videos are long. They're not meant to be short. Maybe in TBC Classic I can make some super quick clips and just generically toss things up on the screen and, you know, keep the videos under 2 to 3 minutes. But for the most part, this will be a good gold farm for those of you that have watched my VODs. And I think it'll be a great gold farm on Classic because I think the raw gold per hour will still be pretty high. But I'll get into that when I make my gold guide videos for TBC. But for the meantime, I'll just be releasing videos how to pull certain dungeons as a Prot Paladin. And I hope you guys enjoyed. And subscribe is cool. Or just comments. I like to chat with you guys in the comments, so it's always fun. And again, I'm sorry for these 20-minute videos. I just try not to cut corners, and I know this video is kind of shitty, but it hopefully will suffice and make some of you guys happy and teach you guys some of the pulls. Alright, you guys have a wonderful day. Later.